Good evening and welcome to Speak Out Loud. Guys, I have a great one for you today. You are going to be blown away. Trust me when I tell you. You know, we've been teasing you about transition and all of the things that goes into a transitional life. And have we ever been under more need to transition than we are now? We are going through it. There's about to be another impeachment. There's been an attack on our government and our democracy. The epidemic, the crisis in health has exploded, and there's more to come. And our own personal lives are being disrupted on a constant basis. But I promise you, there is a way out. You know what I say, stand by my battle cry. Haven't I commanded thee to be strong and of good courage? Do not be terrified or dismayed, for I am the Lord thy God, and I will be with you wherever you go. And I don't know about you, but my Lord and Savior has never, ever let me down. And so I want to introduce to you a man who's gone through it and who can actually help you get through it. He is none other than one of the hottest voices in DC. He has been a trailblazer on so many paths, not to mention he's married to the second hottest woman in the entire world. My man, one half of the power couple, Marc Clarke. Marc, how you doing, man?
Man, what an intro, man. I love that, man. That got me hyped up. Who was he talking about? Who is this brother that's coming to the stage? Oh, it's me? Okay.
Oh, it's you, man. I told you when I first heard your voice, I was hooked. You spoke with a confidence that I could recognize. You spoke your mind, you spoke your peace, you spoke your truth. And people resonate with that all over the place. And so when we were putting this together, I asked, who do we need that can tell us about transition? You're the first one. You were the first name that came up. You're the first one of five that we're going to be interviewing. And I could not be happier because my team said, and I asked them to leave the room, by the way, because I wanted to do this one on one. My team said, how about Allison and Marc? And I said, how about Marc? He was the first voice I heard before I even knew who his beautiful wife was. And no disrespect, but I wanted to get to know the man child, and that antagonist that he is. Because you antagonize people, and I love that. So, Marc, before we get started, uh, I know that you are a DMV, New York, St. Louis kind of guy. But before we get started, won't you tell the people who you are, what it is you do, and then we're going to get into some conversation.
Okay, Rick, man, I tell you, again, you got me fired up. So yeah, I'm originally from originally from the Midwest, and I'm an only child. I saw my mom go through hell working for the government, worked for Social Security, and I think what started the spark of me pursuing radio or media broadcasting was I made a decision that I want to pursue something that I love. I saw my mom get demoted. I saw the effects of that, high blood pressure, diabetes. She hated her job. And I remember when she snapped, like when she went from being that fly mom who she picked me up and she made her own clothes and she had a certain swagger. And then I saw her kind of just get beat down by work. And I just made that decision. I'm going to follow my path. So I was blessed enough to know what I wanted to do, which was radio. And, I was the kid who did the announcements in middle school and then announcements in high school. And he got a job at a radio station when I was, after I graduated, I went to junior college for a couple of years. Then I went to my 4-year for 2 years. I majored in radio, television, broadcasting. So I've been a broadcaster, since like out of the womb. And I think, Rick, one of the parts of transitioning, or one of the parts about life and moving a certain way is I think also as an only child, I've always known who I am. And I think that is so important. And, I knew who I was, and then I pursued something that I loved. So, but what happens when you do that? When you get those wins, even at first when it's no money, you get into the radio, there's no money. My first job was 14.5. My second job was 30,000. It kind of went on up from there. But I had some wins. I had some beliefs that it can happen. And I think those, those foundations help you when the transition comes, because you know who you are.
Right.
You know that you can get through it. And I think that's what a lot of people lack. They either never stepped out on faith, or they never took the time to figure out, who am I for real?
Well,
And then
let me grab you right here, Mark,
yeah.
because you said it. Broadcasting is a constant change. That you either changing with the technology, you're changing with the music, the industry. How does one even prepare themselves? Because you know, if you, I can understand standing out of the government. I was there for 20 years as a soldier. I got you, but but going into an industry, television and broadcasting, you don't know what you're going to wake up to tomorrow morning. How does one prepare for that change?
Well, it was so interesting because there was a time when every market had a radio station. So that therefore every market needed a morning show, an afternoon show. Radio stations are open 24 hours a day. That's how it was when I got into it. Like you said, Rick, things changed.
Yeah, most
Automation got
definitely.
introduced. Companies, conglomerates started buying up stations. But I go back to the key. I go back to the key for me. Number one, yes, I was a broadcaster, but my goal was I wanted to make a positive change to the
Okay.
community, and I think with that basis, when the thing I didn't want to be a superstar. I mean, of course, you want the money and you would love to be a superstar, but I wasn't doing it to be a superstar. I really mastered my craft, and a part of my craft for me was connecting with the community, serving the community, and trying to make a positive change for the community. So with all the changes happen in the industry, I'm still going to be that same person. And my value or success was connecting with the people. And I think that's how I kind of maneuvered around all the traps that happen in the business, because you're right, it's constantly changing. And it's one of those businesses like print, sadly, that, right now I would be at the pinnacle. And right now I would be the guy who has the experience and the record that it was my time. But syndication happened, and they started to put comedians and actors and other people into the roles of the DJs, like the Steve Harveys of the world and the Ricky Smileys of the world. So that spot got taken up by people who didn't pay the dues and didn't work on the craft. But that's life.
That goes back to what you said in terms of reinventing yourself. There are going to be things that happen where you gotta reinvent yourself, you gotta repurpose yourself, you gotta reposition yourself, and you can't be afraid. You said step out on faith. I open with faith. I'm in the middle with faith, and I will go to the finish line with faith. You know what they say. Faith is the not they. You know what the Bible says. Faith is the substance of things hoped for, and the evidence of things not yet seen. When you didn't see a future on the path you were headed, what was the first thing you did?
Well, it's interesting. So so I think one of the things that I learned was there was a great eye opener, and again, thank God. When I was young, it was all about the career, And I
Mm.
even told the women I dated, "Hey, I'm here now in Huntsville, but when that job comes from Chicago or from a bigger market, I'm out of here." So every woman up to that point got that, and looking back, I was like, man, that was kind of crass. That was kind of what a jerk. But I basically was saying to those people, you're not as important to me as the job is. So, and that's where it was. But in St. Louis, I had that moment, Rick, where I was there for 6 years. I was, really popular. I was on the morning show, but I wasn't the lead of the morning show. So therefore my check wasn't big, but I was super popular. And when I tried to get the money, the company was like, nope. And so in that moment, Rick, I said, you know what? I'm going to spend some time on my personal life. I'm going to stop putting everything into this job and start to work on me. So I started to work on me. And then who did I meet her first day at work? The lovely, talented Allison Seymour. And
Okay.
so
Okay.
that gave me the the foundation. So now it's not just about me. I have a family, I have someone else, and we can navigate this world together. So I wasn't chasing after anything, but in doing, But combining with Allison, look what God did. I get the biggest job of my career when I followed her out to DC. So that's another piece. You know what I mean? You know,
She told you, look, if this thing come in from DC or New York, I'm going. Okay. She wasn't being crass or anything, but she was putting you on alert.
yeah. And you know, and Rick, the blessing was how it happened. So we had that conversation. We get engaged, right? We
Okay.
get engaged and we both were in the same place because we both were right in the same kind of fields where we're both trying to get the next big gig. So right before vacation, we said that, Rick. We said, look, whoever gets the first big offer, we'll follow. Whoever gets the first big offer, the other will follow. We go on vacation. And when we get back from vacation, on the answer machine was Fox 5 in DC with the offer for Allison.
Wow.
So I followed her, and then I landed in Baltimore, Marc Clarke and the Big Fat Morning Show, the biggest job of my career.
And you guys killed it. Now, I'm not a native Washingtonian. I was accepted by the DMV. I come from a little small town called Greenville, South Carolina. Yep. But you guys were some of the first voices I heard when I got here. Fox 5, come on, we already know it has a certain thing to it, but because Allison was there, and I knew she was being, I hate to use the word, and I'm probably have no right to speak to her. I felt like she was being kowtowed on certain issues that she couldn't speak out on, but I knew I could trust her. She would tell us the truth. But this is about you, my man. You get to Baltimore, I'm sorry, and you turn it out.
We had a great show. And again, I think we brought together, so I had Troy Johnson, who I worked with in St. Louis, who actually was a roommate. We lived together. We had this crazy energy, like he's my brother. Then Marva, who actually was from Baltimore, but I think she was actually working, I think, in Greenville. And so it allowed her to come back home. Somebody recommended her. So we had these three people who again, we weren't trying to be superstars. We wanted to change the world. We wanted to change the community. And Baltimore was so open. The image of Baltimore. There's an image of Baltimore. But what I learned was we had this show that was funny, but also we had the governor on. We had Elijah Cummings on. We had the mayor on all the time. And people were thirsty for politics. People wanted to know how a married couple navigated success and the kids. And so our show was all of that. And like you said, we had a 9-year run. I got the key to the city. We had great things in the community. The 92 Hours of Peace, where we broadcast live from the most dangerous blocks in Baltimore, and those times back to serving the community. Those people who listen to us, man, when they would come and share those horrific stories and also those amazing stories. I remember one time we were on this block, and this one listener who we were very familiar with, she used to call in and come out with us. But she came up and she was, like she always did, she came to support. And she said, yeah, I remember I got shot in the face in that apartment right up there. I got shot in the face. She said I was a drug dealer and the deal went wrong. I got shot in the face. I barely survived, but I turned my life around after that. You know what I mean? And then the other part that I love was we did South Africa. We broadcast from South Africa twice. And I never forget, we down to the Inner Harbor having lunch, and a brother comes out of the kitchen. He was a dishwasher. He said, hey man, because of you guys, I saved my money and I took my family to South Africa.
Wow.
I said that's what it's about. That's what it's about.
But hold on. Did I hear you say you got the key to the city? You know how many? You got the key to Baltimore City?
I got it, man. We can make a run. We can go open it up.
You know what? I'm just down the street from you. I'm in Tacoma Park. Don't play, man. Don't play.
We could go open up Baltimore. But again, it was great, and it was a transitional time because we had the Believe campaign, like I said, the 92 Hours of Peace. We had 9/11 happen when we were on the air. We had a couple tragedies in Baltimore where we were on the air. And so all those years of broadcasting, you can imagine 9/11, we were about to sign off. It was a 9 o'clock hour and, the TV's on and you saw those towers fall. And so it goes from being this entertainment radio show and informative, but now we are, the voice of information and we are holding each other's hands through this crisis, then thing hit in DC, and it was just one of those moments. But we become, you're the trusted voice of the community. So we were on from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. that day, and it was just one of those special moments. And we had so many of those, in Baltimore. And I think, again, that's what it really is all about. That's what it was really all about. And so, like you said, speaking of transition, the day when that Thursday, that fateful Thursday, when my general manager said, "Hey, Mark, let me talk to you when you get off the air." And I looked at my team and I said,
"This ain't
good.
They're
about to fire me."
This ain't good. Look, I think it was Steve. You mentioned Steve. Steve said they come to you on Friday talking about, "Hey, Willie, can I see you in my..." Hell no, you can't see me in your office. You ain't never wanted me in your office before.
Exactly.
So let's dive a little bit deeper here, because you're there. We're talking about the ebbs and flows. I want to talk about the ebbs and flows of the entertainment, the ebbs and flows of how, because you and I, we connect on so many levels. You grew up as a single child, you said?
Yes, sir. Mm-hmm.
I got 5 sisters, no brothers. I'm the only boy and the oldest. Grew up in the hood all my life as a protector and as a provider or whatever was needed. But when we start talking about the ebbs and flows of our life, how did you deal with those? How did you personally deal with, "Hey, Mark, I want to talk to you," and you're about to be canned, and you got to go to the bathroom? Look, first thing, I got to go to the bathroom. Something get all upset. I got to go to the bathroom.
Well, it's funny, Rick. So you're right. The ebbs and flows, it's different. And when I was younger, because in radio they always say, you're not in radio until you get fired. And so I had situations, but when I was younger, it was kind of like, it wasn't arrogance, but I knew I was good, and I knew it was going to be okay. And it's just you by yourself. So when you're by yourself, it's different. You know what I mean? You'd be like, I'll go wherever the job is. But then the game changed while I was on in Baltimore, and then the game really changed, Rick, because now I got a family. Now I got a family. So, in Baltimore, I had built this thing. I was making great money. So I always tell the story. I'm making 300,000 plus. I've got, my kids. I've got Allison, who's doing great in DC. And so, as I headed back to that office, now they'd already, let go of Marva, and they let go of Troy. So they had, I knew it was coming one day, but you never think it's going to happen how it happens. And so the thing I always say, when I was coming home, when it happened, the main thing I just wanted to be was with my family. Right. And I think that's the piece that speaks to the kind of family that I have, my wife, but also my in-laws. They were always behind me 100%. And the money did not matter. Nothing mattered. And it was genuine. And Rick, how it is. People, sometimes families say that, but the real deal. The funniest part to me was,
I'm gonna jump in here on you. Don't lose yourself. But especially when you're married to their baby, who has a projection, not a projection, a trajectory. And I know that because you and I talked. I'm in that same boat. My wife is a superstar in communication. She is a superstar. And here's this guy with all these bright ideas, all these go get 'em attitudes, and I'm gonna bust through this thing no matter what it takes. And sometimes that takes not only you through it, as you said, and this is for the listeners, it takes your family and those you care about through it. And if those who support them aren't strong and don't have trust or belief in you, you already had me crying. I'm gonna cry again. I can see this coming. Then you are out there. So go ahead, man. Finish.
See, don't say cry, Rick. Now you get me emotional.
You don't start, man. I'm gonna sprinkle water in my face or something.
Because I'm thinking about my in-laws. Damn you, Rick.
Look, man, I've gone without paychecks. So we're gonna be honest. I left a 6-figure job and started, and my wife carried my big behind. So I know what it's like to be on top of the world and all of a sudden have that rug snatched out from under you. And it is the people that you have built slow. I call it slow credit with. They know your character. They know the man or the person you are. And so don't disregard all family, because I'm telling you, family is powerful.
No, Rick, in fact, Rick, I'll say this. Here's the thing about this scenario. And I say this, and this is why I think so many marriages, it's
Mm.
hard because it's not a race thing. It's hard. Allison has 100% belief in her father, right? So by having 100% belief in her father, she has 100% belief in me.
Mm-hmm.
And so when things went wrong or I lost that gig, Allison wasn't like, I'm not gonna say she wasn't worried, but when I said we're gonna be okay and I'm gonna be okay, she believed me. Why? Because she came from a household where she believed in her dad and her mom. She saw her mom believe in her dad. So now most of us don't have that. You know, most of us don't have that. And one of the things I always say that's funny is my mom. You know, my mom was a single. My mom lived a life as a single woman, taking care of her son, going through hard times. You know what I mean? So when I lost that 300,000 plus job, my mom, in a sense, I could hear it in her voice, would be like, "Are you all right?"
I don't
Because
know. You nailed it, man.
you know, because in her world, hey, that's $300,000, and hey, you got a superstar wife who's on television, and I mean, you cute, but
Hey,
and
yeah.
so on
Oh
Allison's parents though, and let me tell you something, Rick, it wasn't like I bounced back
no,
the next day.
no.
I was not fully employed really for 6 years. And
You
let
know
me tell
what?
you
You better
this.
stop. I want those listening to catch this. Go ahead, man.
And let me just, I'm gonna say this, and again, Rick, you get me emotional. Not one day, Rick, did I feel any doubt from my in-laws, from my wife. Not one day.
I,
6 years.
I
And
figured.
and that's why when you give advice, it's hard because most don't have that. You know what I mean? And you know how it is, Rick. Sometimes families say they got you, but they really don't
until
have you.
until they don't have you.
Until they don't have you, you hear the little talk, the little conversation. Let me tell you something. Allison's parents held me down. Period.
Let me,
Whatever I needed, they would give me, and they supported me. And
boy.
and
You about
and
to start something. I can see this gonna go all kind of wacky. I'm glad I asked my staff to leave because to those entrepreneurs, to those who are really going after your dream, and dreams they're easy. It's that vision. It's that grind that's hard because it takes other people through it. Mark is telling you the truth that you've got to respect your support. My mother-in-law, teacher 30 years. My sister-in-law is a professor at Howard University. Their cousin runs a national organization. Everything around them is success. And here I am struggling, not for 6 months when I left that big income, but as Mark said, for years. And I want to encourage all of you that are going through, as you listen to Mark, I want you to write this down and remember it. Don't give up, don't give in, and don't give out. You don't have that much farther to go. And sometimes you got to beat the bush. What was it like beating the bush, man?
yeah, it was interesting. You know, the game has changed. You know, I got a part-time gig at WHUR, which, you know, the blessing was, you know, at HUR was union. So even though it was just on a Saturday, it was $500 a show, which was great. You know, I did a couple things. Like you said, man, you know, you have to grind. So I did a program at the, at the juvenile justice, the juvenile, the juvenile prison. I had a communication, uh, had a communication program where
What you laughing at, Mark?
can we cuss on your show for
You
reality or
damn
no?
right.
So Rick, you know, where a young man called me a fuck boy
Oh, okay.
because he got upset with me. And it was just interesting. Like, again, I'm no longer Marc Clarke, the radio star. I'm a regular guy, you know, and the
Mm.
guy, he was upset because I basically was told him to pay attention because I was, you know, showing videos. And then Rick, I'm not a perfect person because when he called me that, you know, I got to come back with my, you know, and I basically told him, look, I'm going to go home to my $1 million house well, you're still in here. And so I then had to come back and apologize. And so, Rick, this was the human side. You know, it's one thing when you talk in theory behind a microphone. It's another thing where you're inside with young people who've been hurt by the system. And the thing I felt bad about was I allowed myself to get caught up in emotions, because this young man had been talked like that his whole life,
Right.
you know? And so I apologized. I learned from it. I came back the next week, and it made me, it made me a better person, because I was working with those kids and trying to get to them. Sometimes I got through, sometimes I didn't. It just gave me insight, and so I was in there grinding and doing whatever I could, because I think that's the key, men especially, and women. When you're transitioning and your spouse or your husband or your wife or your girlfriend or your boyfriend, when they're busting their butt doing their thing, what you can't do is be sitting around the house. Rick, I lost 70 pounds. I was like, I was trying to just let it be known that, hey, I'm out here grinding. I'm supporting. Of course, I took care of the kids. I was Mr. Mom. I'm braiding hair, and I'm taking my mother-in-law to. We spend the whole day shopping.
I need you to stop telling my story. I brought you on to tell 90% of yours, but you and I joked about. No, we didn't joke. Yeah. We talked about this.
Yes.
I became an expert at the things I was most afraid of while the transition was taking place of trying to start my own business, and it's taken 5 years. Where there were times when I had to hide my truck or park it in so tight, thinking the man couldn't get it, peeking out the window all night as I was trying to. I'm being honest with people, because everybody thinks you just go to the bank, get a loan, and start a business. That's some BS right there.
Yeah, yeah.
You don't. You got to grind, and you pray that the people with you don't leave you while you're grinding, but you prepare for the worst. And I prepared for the worst, because I was so dumb, Mark. I don't know about you, but in a personal conversation with my wife, I was so dumb. I said to her 2 things. One, baby, if you want me to quit, I will. In other words, I was too coward to do it myself. So I was going to give her permission to tell me. And she said, I'm not doing that. Yeah. Number 2, I was too knuckleheaded to ask for help.
Mm-hmm.
I was just flat out a knucklehead. But I want to change something real quick. How has the transition impacted you and your family? Because y'all went through a very public, and it pissed me off. One day you're on, the next day you're gone. And I thought you were on vacation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's like going through a very public divorce. How has that strengthened your marriage?
Yeah, so I think
I'm talking about all of it, by the way.
Yeah, I think one thing that I remember, or one thing to remember as we are on this journey. And again, my father-in-law was a unity minister, and so he was this sage. He was this, he was just this guru of every religion, Islam, everything. And he was just the otherworldly type, Peace Corps. They lived in Africa, they lived in Asia, they lived on an island. So they just had this worldview where love is the answer to all questions. So that also, and in that prayer, they had me prayed up. And so I'll say to all of us on this journey, they're all lessons. And the lessons make us better, make us stronger. And like you said, we don't know it, but if you start to believe and understand, no matter what you're going through, there's a lesson there. So I'm home with the kids, and I'm getting equity with the kids, right? I'm building up that time, Now, and I didn't know it was on the horizon, but I'm building up that time with the family, right? With the girls. So we have this super close, super tight relationship. The family, super close, super tight. So like you said, the outside world stuff really doesn't affect us, because we're all here. We're all here. And then, Rick, what happens? Out of the blue, an opportunity to work in New York. 6-figure job falls out of the sky to work in New York. And because we had Now, if we didn't have this, Rick, there's no way I could have taken it because I didn't want that distance, but we had it. I've been home for 5 years, you know what I'm saying? So we say as a family, and again, I didn't say I'm gonna do this. No, we had a conversation about the family. We decided I'm gonna take the New York gig and I'm gonna come home on the weekends. And so I did that for 3 years. But again, if I didn't have that other part, then the New York part wouldn't happen. So that's why in those moments, Rick, when we're going through it and you're transitioning or you feel down or, you know, we start asking that question, why? I don't ever ask why. I never ask God why, because when I hit that $50 million, I'm going to ask why. So I don't ask why when bad stuff or seemingly things don't happen my way. I ain't going to say why. I just be like, I put it in your hands, Lord.
I'm going to say it again. Have not I commanded thee to be strong and of good courage? Do not be terrified or dismayed. Now, you got to remember something, and I'm not preaching, just giving fact. When God says, do not be terrified or dismayed, that means there's some stuff coming your way that he's prepping you for. And when you are strong, rooted, and grounded as a family, when you have the right people around you, one of the first things my grandfather taught me that I brought forward was, if you're around the wrong people, you're going to get a lot of the wrong things. That just made sense to me. If you're around a lot of the wrong people, you're going to get a lot of the wrong things. You surrounded yourself and your family with some great things. And I'm just awestruck at how close our circle really is to each other. Because when I came to my wife and said, I can't do it no more. I can't walk through those corporate doors anymore. Something isn't going to happen good if I go. She didn't tell me no. She wasn't happy with me because I didn't have a plan. How important is it when you get ready to take these steps? Like you sat down with your family, y'all created a plan for your travel. You kind of set it up. How important is it to have a plan, Mark?
Oh yeah, that's so important. And I think even I have been flagrant sometimes and not really. I think like Rick, you said how guys sometimes it's pride, it's a couple things, but for whatever reason, sometimes we're not forthcoming. You know, at first, and I've learned over the time, Rick, to do better. I'm still a challenge, but you're absolutely right. You know, when you say I'm just going to do this, no, you're not in a position to say I'm just going to do this. Nope. It's a conversation with the family. Let's have a conversation about it. What do y'all think about it? And listening to the kids. Rick, you remember we were coming up, our parents, we weren't privy to that. Our parents told us what the hell to think and what to do and shut up. They told us what to think and did not care about your opinion.
If I wanted your opinion, I beat it into you is what I heard.
Right. And get to the little table and shut up. And so we're it's different, you know, and something else, Rick, that I think men, married guys, and just in general, sometimes got to be careful is your wife, your daughters, women, they believe in you.
Yes.
Even if sometimes, you know, even though you may feel, we have a tendency to project how we feel or how we look at something onto them. And that's not good because they're not thinking how you're thinking most of the time. And one time I remember me and Allison were having a discussion / argument, and it hit me, Rick, in the middle of it. What was really pushing her buttons was she felt like I was judging her. And she felt almost like in that judgment, she felt like I was, you know what I mean? Almost like, not satisfied or something about her face.
Hey, Mark, don't get in trouble on my show. You hear me? Do not get in trouble on my show.
You know what I'm saying? But something about the conversation made me realize it's like something in my tone, because I notice when I say certain, it like activates something. And I think it's almost like, she felt a judgment. And, you know, nobody wants to be judged. And so I had to start thinking about how I was looking and sounding when I was saying things, because that's not what I was trying to do, but it was pushing that button. And then another thing that Allison used to do, and I remember early on, Rick, I was like, because I think guys don't do it, but women are so transparent and so honest in some ways. When she used to say, I remember early on, and she said, Mark, tell me it's going to be okay. And I just remember that, I was, in my mind, I was like, you know what I'm saying? Then I would say, it's going to be okay, babe. And she said, okay. And it was like, that's a lot of power. You know what I mean?
It's a lot of power. It's a lot of trust.
Trust.
Because, Mark, I'm not messing with you today, man. I will stop this because it's like a wave just hit me because we're being honest.
Right.
We take people through a tremendous journey when we decide to go in certain directions. And I don't care if you're male or female, we take our families and our friends through a journey. And sometimes we got to stop and listen to them. I'm married to a professional communicator. I mean, a professional. This woman's work ethic is untouched. You hear me? I'm a former United States Army drill instructor. I worked 18 hours a day, 7 days a week for 3 years and didn't go to hospital but one time when I passed out. And I can't even compare to what she does since COVID. And you're right. I would be trying to tell her certain things, and I felt in my spirit, not that she projected it on me, but I felt in my spirit, Mark, which impacted our marriage, because I don't have a job, because I haven't hit that success, that somehow I'm not worthy to be listened to. Woman, are you crazy? And I raised my voice.
Yeah.
Mistakes I had made in the past did not compare to that. And I want to say that every person, you've got to listen to the people around you.
Yep.
It's really important. And you got to listen to what they're saying and how they are feeling, because they're going through it with you. Sorry about that, Mark, but you caused it. So.
Oh yeah. No. And the part I think with women, the funny part is, just as, because I've heard many fathers and husbands, we say this, we'll be like, you get into an argument and in your mind you'll say, I was trying to, basically, I'm trying to protect you. I'm thinking about you. Mm-hmm. And so our emotions get caught up because that's what we believe, but that's where we're coming from. But then the other part that we don't think about, like you said, Rick, especially when, they're the breadwinners, is it's the other piece, how they're protecting our image, how they're dealing with frustrations and disappointments and setbacks that they have to keep moving. They don't say it, they don't show it, because they don't want that hanging over our heads. But it's real. And so, so on both sides, we're, like you said, Rick, we're thinking about ourselves, not thinking about the other person. And in those moments, I think it's probably better to just stop and think of the other person and let it go. Because it's not,
Give, and I'm gonna do this because I know you worked in New York with youth, and you really poured your heart out. You told us about the F-boy and all that, but what did you learn from that? And what advice would you give, especially to young Black men with wives now, and they're going through the grind, whatever the grind is? Given what you just said, what pinpoint thing would you say to those individuals? Pinpoint it for me.
I think guys need to get friends like us, Rick, that they can vent to, and all these, like you started off with, entrepreneurship, ideas, building a business. It's like, it's a different mindset. And for us to believe that you're going to just get support is kind of unrealistic, and you just have to put it in perspective. And so just because you don't feel like she's supporting your idea, don't look at it that way. She's trying to figure this thing out. Entrepreneurship versus that 9-to-5 check every 2 weeks, it's a different philosophy. So you almost have to just be like, until you can produce some money, or you can produce something that shows the receipts of it moving in that direction, it's probably best that you keep those concerns and vents to yourself and tell Rick and tell Mark, and we can say, all right, bro, because you know, it's a different thing, and like Rick says, everybody has ideas, but you know, and yours could be $1 billion idea, and I just need your support. Well, her support is she's basically holding up the household.
And you nailed that. I had a client, you know, I do professional coaching as a job, and I had a client years ago who had all these $1 million ideas, but his wife kept sinking lower and lower and lower. And I think you're right. We need those people we can talk to, because when we take those things, and I don't want to re-preach your message, but when we take our frustrations to our loved ones, we're just piling even more on top of them. And because we're frustrated, we hurt the people we love. So find friends. And if you don't have any, it's because you're still in the same zip code you grew up in, probably mentally. Get outside of that mental zip code. Got to ask you a question, man, because we're going through another transition. The country I trained for, the country I trained men and women to defend, now needs defending. We're under attack, man. And it's unfortunate right now you're not on the air live, because you would be a very calming voice to a very troubling time. What sense do you make of all this stuff we got going on inside the United States of America, man? We don't have to nail it down to D.C. or the capital or Wisconsin, but inside the United States of America, what sense can you make of this transitioning time we're in?
Yeah, I think it's interesting. I think on one hand, the world is seeing what Black folks have seen a long time. That's why I think our reactions is different. Like, you notice the general market reaction is, this isn't my country. What is going on in my country? We're more like, no, this is the country.
Welcome to it.
Welcome to it. And I think the good news is, I think it is an opportunity to have the conversation that people weren't really listening to before, because they didn't really see it. Now you're seeing it. But at the same time, I think, as always, we always see, and this is the part I think that we had to do. We had to survive. We had to switch up. We had to navigate a world that's not fair. And so now it's almost like people say, hey, wait a minute, this isn't fair. Welcome to the club.
World. And you nailed that. Oh my God. We've seen it before, though. We've seen it before. At the dawn of television, the attack dogs, the police with billy clubs, the Edmund Pettus Bridge, the Honorable John Lewis, Martin Luther King. We've seen it before. When white America saw it on television, they were outraged. Well, guess what? White America saw it again on television in the Capitol, in Wisconsin, and now in the District of Columbia. And they are outraged. And I'm tired of us just being outraged. I'm tired of, I got signs in my front yard that my 18-year-old son put up with the names of those that have been murdered. Welcome to the transition. I pray now that you do something about it. Mark, here's another question off subject, because having your voice on air and missing it right now is tremendous. But when did you know Marc Clarke voice had power? When did you know it?
Wow. So it was, it actually, I think it really kicked in St. Louis. It was, did a promotion called Marc Clarke in the Park. And at the time, in St. Louis, there was a Black mayor, and there was just this groundswell of participation, with Black folks and just the community. And it kind of led to this, it was a fundraiser where I spent the night in the park, in the park, the park where stuff jumps off.
Mm-hmm.
But I was there. 24 hours raising money, raising funds, which of course is always gimmicky. But the real piece is when people come by and share their real stories. And that's when I just realized, you know what, my voice, I think it was not even just my voice, it was that the listeners understood that I cared, and I genuinely cared, like, you know, because I think that's the part, you know, you see people fake it versus the people who genuinely care. And so that happened in St. Louis, that happened in Baltimore, where people, you know, actually know that, you know, these guys care. And I do. And you know, and I'm blessed because, Rick, you know, it's like, it's not a job, you know. It's not a job. It's me. You know, Marc Clarke is Marc Clarke, though that's not my real name. Marc Clarke, you know, it's not a thing where you meet me in person. It's like when you called today, Rick, we talked for like 45 minutes, an hour. It's not an act. But it's a blessing though, because, you know, just like with interviews, I genuinely, when I sit down and meet somebody, what do you do? Oh, I put the soles of shoes on sandals. Man, tell me about it. I'm genuinely curious. So it's a blessing, you know, it's a blessing because it's my wheelhouse.
It works. I teach a class called Be Who You Say You Are. And it's real important that you be who you say you are. If you say you're a genuine person, be a genuine person. Not somebody get run over, but be who you say you are so I can easily identify you. Well, we're gonna start wrapping this down.
Rick, I'm sorry. I just want to interject a real story real quick.
Sure.
So I said that whole thing, how we don't know we're on this journey, right?
Right.
So boom, I go to New York because I had all those years with the family. The family didn't suffer. It was the 3 years went by so fast, and we had no problems. Had to walk away from that 6-figure job to come home to take care of my father-in-law, who moved in with us. And so that was another layer, you know. So walked away from the gig, take care of dad, and after, you know, 10 months, 12 months, dad passed away, my mom passed away, and again, I'm without a job. I'm without, you know, out of taking care of my in-law, and then WHUR comes, and me and Allison are now doing afternoons on WHUR, each of us making $110,000, plus Allison's on TV. Look at God. So you don't know what your journey, you don't know where you're going, you don't know how it ends, but like you said, Rick, you can't give up. You take all the lessons, all those hard times are lessons, and you learn from them.
Well,
now, I'm waiting.
I want to play something because you brought WHUR back up. I was going to leave it alone, but I scoured the internet and found something that you put out that really came from the heart. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and share this, and yeah, let's bring it up. Let's share it.
I call it, you know, reinventing Marc for a lot of reasons, you know, and it's so funny. This has happened in my life actually quite a few times. So reinvention in that the radio journey with WHUR is over. You know, in less than 2 years, they made a decision to let us go, which was weird. You know, me and my lovely wife, Allison Seymour, you know, one of the most popular personalities in the market. And I said this early on, if you can't win with Allison, then y'all doing something wrong. And I think I offended them, but it was true. I mean, you know, I'm not talking about ratings. I'm talking about if you can't sell Allison Seymour in Washington, D.C., then something is wrong. And so something's very wrong. So they let us go. And that was, you know, actually that was probably from a radio standpoint was my worst experience as a radio host. It's from a standpoint of respect. You know, and it's family. So it's funny because, like they say, family will do you differently than anybody else. And I just felt totally disrespected, and how we were treated was just it was weird. I mean, not from a standpoint of, you know, how we're getting talked to and that kind of stuff, but here we started this show. We didn't have an official launch of Allison and Marc in the afternoon. we didn't really have an official celebration to get the market excited. We didn't plug into the market and take advantage of, again, Alice's popularity. My skill set was always challenged by people who had less experience than me, which is everybody, because I've been doing it for 30 years, and I sounded like the old guy who's been doing it for 30 years when he's not getting respect. Yeah, it just was a bad experience based on the potential, not bad people, just bad experience. So that aspect of reinvention. So here I am again on the path of employment, expanding my company. I do have Marc Clarke Media, and so now it's time for me to really grow that. And then, of course, my weight, up and down all these years. And this journey is different because I'm going to do the sleeve. So I'm going to have the surgery. But before that, 7 months with a dietitian, getting my diet right. And I like the aspect that they do a full examination. They have you sit down with a psychiatrist, take all your health issues, and then they also, of course, give you 7 months to not lose weight and to see if you can follow the program and if you are mentally ready. Because it's all about mental. It's not the surgery has nothing to do with the surgery is a surgery, but you have to make the decision to eat right. And I like the 7 months to get it together. And to be honest, even to decide to, am I going to go all the way? Will that be enough? Because, I've lost the game many times before. I've done every diet and I've lost on every diet because I know how to do that. It's the maintenance. So that's reinventing. And also our family. We got one, a sophomore in college, one going to be a sophomore in high school, one a freshman at Fisk, and of course our oldest is in Hampton in a pandemic, trying to survive COVID, and in a time in history racially that America is going through things. And to be honest, I think it's growing pains and it's good. So that's what reinventing is. It'll include Allison, who has some changes going on in her life too. And it's going to be a great, exciting ride. And I've started this many times before, but this time I feel like it's going to be special. And I appreciate you checking us out, checking me out, reinventing Marc Clarke.
Mark, I got to tell you, I sat there and watched it 3 times yesterday. On the first time, I was already dropping tears because I know what it's like to go through. I could not be prouder of you, my friend. You were open, you were honest. And the fact that you still have the fight of Ali in you gives all of us inspiration. And my wife was talking to one of her sorors, one of those AKAs, and she said, Miss Rhonda Bruford, Rhonda, love you, baby. She said, Rick's talking to Marc Clarke like they've known each other since childhood, and they're going at it. And I just want to thank you for sitting down with us. I want to thank you for speaking to our audience. I want to thank you most of all, though, for being a real man who, because you went up against some challenges, you didn't run. You stayed with your family. You helped guide your family through. You love your wife and she loves you. And a lot of us see our lives with you and Allison. We see the love you have for each other and we try to emulate that love. And they call you guys the power couple, and you earn it because you are. And I have great respect for you, my brother. I look forward to working with you. I think there's some areas we may be able to even barter and collaborate. But before we go, so I don't get in any trouble here, Um, you mentioned Marc Clarke Media. Tell us a little bit about it, and what is it that we can do for you or you can do for the people? Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, so we're getting actually markclarkmedia.com. You can check out that site. Reinventing Marc Clarke, reinventingmarkclarke.com. We're launching this week. Every morning on Facebook under Marc Clarke or Allison and Mark in the afternoon, I do a message every morning at 7:15 on the treadmill. I'm encouraging everybody to join me. Really, I walk on the treadmill, but then I try to do a motivation message like you, Rick. And it really is just, and I have a group called Reinventing, Fill in Your Name. And it's really just about, like we talked about, reinvention, financial, physical, psychological, really just getting everybody to move their body and to really just navigate this interesting world. Rick, I know you're like me, we're in the same age group. We just see people just dropping like flies.
I'm
And a
47.
lot of them.
Ho. I'm 47.
Oh, sorry, you're a youngster.
Well, I've been telling that story for 47, 15 years.
Okay. Well, because you know what? Black don't crack, Rick. You can say whatever, and I believe you.
I'm going there.
But just figuring it all out is just crazy. But the one thing I think we know is that you got to move your body. You got to be conscious, even if it's taking steps. And Rick, you're a military guy. In case something jump off,
you got to be ready.
At least run, right? You got to be ready.
You got to be. Well, I did the same thing. I going through this transition, I started eating. Going through this transition, I started sitting, and I had forgotten to take care of me. I wasn't riding my bike. I wasn't walking. So I got out one day and started walking with my wife, and I kept it going. And in, let's see, September, end of September, beginning of September to the end of October, I lost 37 pounds, no bread, no soda, walked 3 times a week. No bread, no soda, walk 3 times a week. That's all I did. And I lost 37 pounds. And they tell me I look good. So we're going to go out.
You look good, man. So that's what it's all about, man.
So in the media aspect, are you looking to draw people in just to watch? Are you looking to help manage? Because you got 30 years of experience. Are you going to do some managing of careers in there? Because there are some people who could use your 30 years of expertise.
Yes, you can go to markclarkmedia.com and you can actually book an appointment for, I have guests on my online show because I also just finished 3 children's books. So if you want to be a guest on and we talk about your book, you can book that. If you want some coaching, you can book that. So yeah, Rick, I'm here. I'm kind of, like I said, I want to serve, and this reinventing.com will be my new site, but Marc Clarke Media is going to always be there as my umbrella site. So either one of those, or follow me on social media, and you can connect, and we can make something happen.
Guys, Mark don't need my stamp of approval, but if you follow me, if you listen to me, get behind Mark. You will not be disappointed whatsoever. He's a genuine man looking to help. Okay, he knows what it's like to go through and come back. As a matter of fact, I read somewhere that he might be entitled the Comeback Kid, because there's nothing but, as my good friend Dr. Jolly and Dr. Les Brown will say, there's greatness inside of you. Mark, I want to thank you again. We want to respect your time. We are right at that mark of bringing this good plane down for a landing. Guys, you've listened to Mark. He's spoken out loud. He's on the show with Success in the Evening with Coach Ricky Terry. He's coming over to speak out loud because I'm going to entice him back. Mark, one of the things we do every now and then, we bring a room full of people in the Zoom, and we bring some subject matter experts in to teach. Would you be interested in coming back?
Oh, I would love to. And that's from, from broadcasting to public speaking to writing a children's book to being a dad, being a husband, whatever. I'm open, Rick. Use me how you will, my brother.
Well, I will. Last question. This one was written down. Mark, what is the experience like growing up in the house full of women?
Well, I think it's love. It's love, love, love. So you got a lot of love.
How many bathrooms you got?
Yeah, my bathroom is a mess, but yeah, I got the I got the grimy basement bathroom,
Okay.
but they still and they in my clothes because I got these big clothes. They wear out my clothes. Um,
I have no socks left anywhere.
no socks. I don't have a
No.
matching pair of socks. I had some for Christmas. They all gone already. So, Rick, I got to watch my mouth.
Yes.
Because we've raised three Thurgood Marshalls who you will lose a discussion with, and then
Oh.
as a dad, all I can
Oh.
do is just hit a wall or something because they argue me out of my argument. So,
Oh. Well, I still got a 18-year-old son in the house, and we got daughters, and it is something, man. Watching you, I could talk to you for hours, but I know we got to go. I know you got to go. Will you please tell the family we said hello? Uh,
real.
and we're going to send you a special invite because we have a program coming up for couples, given the time we're in for Valentine's Day.
Oh,
And
nice.
yeah, we want to do something for couples, um, just to encourage them. So we'll send you the information. Thank you again for coming on the show. As soon as we get it prepared, we're going to get it out to you so you can see it. We're getting it out before the inauguration, so I'm going to be working overtime to get that out.
Okay.
Again, thank you, my brother. Godspeed to you. Guys, you've been listening to the radio voice, speaker, coach, author, father, husband, caregiver. Yeah, did I cover all of? Oh, one more. Superman, Marc Clarke, my friend. Thank you
Thanks,
for
Rick.
listening. Have a great day. And remember, don't give up, don't give in, and don't give out. You don't have that much farther to go. Mark, I'm going to call you.
Thanks, Rick.
Yes, sir.